Hi everyone, welcome to Angular Mentor. This video is about Angular history and the version release. So let's get started. What Angular is. Angular is a platform that makes it easy to build applications with the web. It combines declarative templates, dependency injection, end-to-end tooling and integrate best practices to solve development changes. With the latest version releases, Angular 7 is a JavaScript, actually a TypeScript based open source full stack web application. That's a framework which makes you able to create reactive single page applications. That's completely based on components. It consists of several components which forms a tree structure with parent and child components. What is single page application? A single page application is a web application or website which provides user a very fluid, reactive and fast experience similar to a desktop application. It contains menu, buttons and block on single page, and when a user clicks on any of them, it dynamically rewrites the current page rather than loading entire new page from a server. That's the reason behind its reactive fast speed. Let's dive into changes Angular made over time all the way from Angular 1 to Angular 9. AngularJS, usually referred to as Angular.js or Angular 1. It is a JavaScript-based open-source front-end web application framework. It is mainly maintained by Google and by a community of individuals and corporations to address many of the challenges encountered in developing single-page applications. It aims to simplify both the development and the testing of applications by providing a framework for client-side, that is model view controller, along with components commonly used in rich internet application. It was released in October 2010. AngularJS code is written in JavaScript. Next version of Angular is Angular 2. Angular 2 is a complete rewrite from the same team that built AngularJS. It is written entirely in TypeScript. Angular 1 was not built with mobile support in mind, where Angular 2 is mobile oriented. It was released in September 2016. It provides more choices for languages. You can use any of the languages from ES5, ES6, TypeScript or Dart to write Angular 2 code. And next version is Angular 4. But why don't we have Angular 3? Angular is being developed in a monorepo. It means a single repo for everything. There was mismatch of version. There were some version mismatches. That's because of some active and huge developments on router section, like route preload. To avoid this confusion, they decided to skip the version 3 and release with version 4 so that every major dependency are on the right track. So Angular 4 was released in March 2017. This release is backwards compatible with 2 for most applications. There is no major change in Angular 4 from Angular 2. Angular team has laid emphasis on making Angular apps more faster and compact. New changes reduced the size of generated codes for your computer by around 60% in most cases. Then Angular 5 was released in November 2017. Here's a breakdown of some of the biggest changes in version 5. The important features are Build Optimizer. It helps to remove unnecessary code from your application. Angular Universal State Transfer API and DOM support. By this feature, we can share the state of application between the server side and client side very easily. Some compiler improvements and preserve the white spaces and increased the standardization across all the browsers. HTTP module. HTTP module is no more used in Angular 5. It is replaced by HTTP client module by HTTP library in each of your modules. Inject the HTTP client service and remove any calls which are no longer needed. Angular Forms adds update on Blur, Submit, RxJS 5.5 support. And Angular 6 was released on May 2018. It was released with Angular CLI 6 and Material 6. Starting from this version, Angular team has synchronized the framework packages. Some important features released in Angular 6 are 2 new Angular CLI commands added, ng-update and ng-add. Some Angular elements, component dev kit, Angular material starter components, CLI workspace, semantics, library support, tree shakeable providers, animations, performance improvements, RSJX with version 6. Angular 6 released on April 2018. This release is focused less on underlying framework and more on toolchain and making it easier to move quickly with Angular in future. No major breaking changes. Some dependencies on RxJX. This upgrade has breaking changes, but CLI command helps in migrating from older version of RxJS. Angular 7 was released on October 2018. Synchronized released with Angular CLI 7 and Angular Material 7. It is released with performance improvements and some interesting features like CLI prompts, virtual scrolling, and drag and drops. Important features released in Angular 7 are CLI prompts. The CLI will now prompt users when running common commands like ng-new or ng-add. Angular Material to help you discover built-in features like routing or SCSS support. Angular 7 added a new compiler, compatibility compiler ngCC. Introduced a new pipe called key value pipe. Angular 7 now supporting to TypeScript 2.9. Added new element features, enable shadow, DOM v1 and slots. Adding new router features, mapping for ngFactory, a new original placeholder, a new ability to recover from malformed URLs, added new compiler support dot, updated to flatten nested template FNS. Angular 8 is released in May 2019. Synchronized release with Angular CLI 8 and Angular Material 8. Important features are differential loading by default. It is process by which the browser chooses between modern and legacy JavaScript based on its own capabilities. Dynamic imports for route configurations. Being smaller, faster and easier to use, and it will be making Angular developers life easier. Added support for TypeScript 3.2. Added a navigation type available during navigation in router. Added path params or query params change, allowing passing state to router link, allowing passing state to navigation extras. Restore the whole object when navigation back to page managed by Angular router. Resolve generated sass/las files to .css inputs. Added functionality to make a control and its descendant controls as touched. Add mark all as touched to abstract control, and many other features. Angular 9 was released on Feb 6, 2020. Angular 9 has arrived with improvements for performance and concurrency to the NGCC compatibility compiler. The IVV compilation and rendering pipeline received attention as well, resulting in better performance. The version 9 upgrade to the popular TypeScript-based framework switches application to the IVV compiler and runtime by default. What IVV compiler is, you can refer to my video in the playlist. IVY offers faster AOT compilation as well as smaller bundle sizes, faster testing and better debugging. For Angular 9 and Ivy, I have separate video, please refer to it. As you have seen, Angular is constantly growing with better features and faster performance. So that's the Angular history and the version release. For any queries, you can ask in comments. For learning Angular, please refer my other videos on Angular Mentor. Thanks everyone. Please like, subscribe Angular Mentor.